Man, it's is our country just getting crueler and crueler and crueler over the years? Like there are videos out online of people using their food stamps as like a way to make money online by what is it called? Rage baiting. There's some really good rage bait videos from people on on disability and food stamps where they make extra money just oh look at how much money I'm making, but oh my God, for the bulk of people that make money online, like online, what am I, the hell am I talking about? Jesus Christ, this is just going to be me me ranting, I guess. But oh my God, like I think as as it got harder and harder for people to survive in this country, right? You just like you know, younger people right now they're just not they don't have the options, right? School school for me, what I went to trade school and or technical college. Well, it was a technical college when I was there. It was basically a trade school. Um, and my school was completely paid for. Didn't really do much for me. I don't know why, in the end, it's like, oh, well, I guess I wasted a bunch of money and a bunch of time on a job that I ended up working for 10 years and finding out that my body couldn't handle it. I know how hard it can be working a job, making money and making ends meet. But the people, like, people don't know how hard it is to have a disability and not have those options for you. And I understand the people these days, especially the younger generation, they don't have they're going to have it even harder because there doesn't seem to be any free school like colleges or trade schools or anything. And they're all these programs are getting cut. Like they're going after all these programs. It just seems like there's so much animosity. Like nobody wants to see anybody getting a free ride. And I kind of understand that. So they look at people that are on disability or on welfare and they see it as a free ride. They're getting a free lunch on their dime. And they don't care the struggles the people that are on disability are going through. They just see them as, you know, moochers. And one of the hardest things for your mental health of being on disability is just feeling like you're utterly worthless. Like you have no freaking you like it feels like you have nothing to give to society no matter what you do. And it just disappointment. Like I even have family members that look down at me because I'm on disability. And a lot of people that are on disability get that. I kind of tell myself like it's hard for everybody right now. Like it's hard for me, it's hard for everybody. And I talk to like my counselor about how many people like are just suffering right now. The people they're herds of people that are just on the streets, like just homeless. The numbers of homeless people that were just shut out of the system, a lot of which are disabled, mentally ill, and learning disabled. People wouldn't believe how many people are literally homeless right now that have disabilities, and how hard it is for many people right now. And I'm trying to get to a point. My God, I'm just gonna rant. It's what the hell is gonna happen? Like our country, our country just feels like it's falling apart already. And you can't really, I can't really blame this on like uh, Trump, because it's been happening for years and years and years. It's like it feels like he's just pushing it over the edge. It's almost like they're just gonna, those last safety nets that support so many people and keep them out of the street are going to be taken away, you know, and the last of us that were lucky enough to get those supports are just going to be thrown out in the street like trash. And it feels like, because of how difficult it is these days for everybody, that there won't be any um what am I looking for? I'm looking for a word. Remorse. No, not remorse. You know what I mean. Like nobody's really going to care. Like if the last couple bits of us are kicked out in the street, because there's just, it's hard for everybody. So nobody nobody really cares. Like at any other time, if they were to tell you that they were going to cut the funding to retired elderly people, there'd be protests. There there are some protests, but the protests aren't even about that. It's really weird. They're about the tariffs and stuff like that. People don't seem to get, there are a lot of people that just can't work, that cannot make it without government handouts. I just happen to be one of them. I don't know where this is going. I think it's just going to be one of those rants. Man, I don't know where this is all going in this country, but I know that it's not going anywhere good. Our country is so fucked. It is so fucked. It, and it is like Democrats want to pretend that it's Trump. Trump is just like, they've been cutting, like I've said before, they've been cutting and cutting and cutting forever. Trump is just cutting the last bits. It has gotten harder and harder. Like my father, right? My father was dying of cancer, and he could not get on disability, could not work anymore, dying of cancer, surgeries, and falling apart physically and mentally. Could not get on disability. It is so, you, like, there aren't any people that don't have disabilities on disability anymore. Unless they, I don't, there might be a few, but it is so rare these days. because it is just so freaking hard to get on there, and it is so hard to keep it. They they do not just give you disability and you hold on for it for life. Every certain amount of years, they check it in on you and they send you to a doctor. And if you have learning disabilities, they check that. They check the status and they make sure, like, okay, you're still going to doctor's visits and you're still being put into the hospital occasionally and you're still on medications. And they give you so freaking little. I mean, if I didn't own my own home, if my partner didn't leave me with a house, I'd be on the street right now. Because I looked, I hate living where I live. And I looked to see if I could get an apartment and just sell this thing. There aren't apartments that are cheap enough that I can afford. I do not know how the hell anybody's making it anymore. And I live in a cheap neighborhood. I I live in the middle of freaking nowhere. I don't live in a big city where everything's expensive. And even in the middle of freaking nowhere, apartments are like $1,000 some odd a month. In order to even be able to afford an apartment, you have to have Section 8. Of course, they're wanting to cut that too. So, man, people are going to be so screwed in a little while. It is going to be a nightmare. I heard online the so California, if you look it up, right? California had this emergency housing. It's like Section 8. It's to get people, like, it was the homeless population was so bad. They were actually setting up quick paths to getting people off the streets. And they're even cutting that. They literally stopped the funding to that. And I found that online a couple of days ago. They literally stopped the funding that helps people get off the streets in California, in some of the worst hit by homeless encampments and stuff like that. There's going to be a wave of homelessness coming up soon. All these people that were temporarily housed in places like California and all over our country, they're all going to be dropped right back onto the street. And they're going after Section 8 as well. So it's like, I don't get it. I I don't there's no path forward for a lot of people. There's not going to be a safety net for anybody anymore. It's either sink or swim or sink, whatever you call it. It's just like you either make it or you don't. And you end up on the street. It's like, who cares? The only options for people that are on disability or any of these programs that are lucky enough to be on it are going to be living with other people. And like another video I made is like, if I was to be able to find a job, like they all pay like horrible. It's people like me. If we're lucky enough to get like a dishwasher position, it's like then you get stuck in a situation where it's like you have to live with like five or six other people to have an apartment or a house. I I don't know, guys. This is gonna get bad, and it's not like I'm talking about me and my disabilities and my problems, but even people that don't have disabilities are hurting right now. It's just bad for everybody. Nothing. It, and what they're doing in the government right now, that's all just going to make it worse. This is all going to come to a head, and it's only going to get bad. Like, it's going to get really freaking bad in this country. And everybody is just going to have to hold on and hope to God we don't end up in a ditch or dead. Oh well. I'm not going to rant forever. Into the next one.